Hey, what's up, everybody? Thanks for coming back to the High Road Podcast. I've been away for a couple of weeks. Couple of kiddos got the flu, Christmas. Let me, you know what? Let me put the holidays in perspective real quick. December 11th is my wife's birthday. December 17th is our anniversary, which was our 20th. December 23rd is my son's birthday. Then New Year's, end of year taxes, business, and then two kids got the flu. So that's been my 2 weeks. So that's my excuse. Leave me alone. Super excited to have all you guys with me today. I have a dear friend. I'm super excited to have him on. He is one of the kindest and one of my favorite people to talk to because he has a pursuit of excellence that few people will ever have. He's always thinking and learning and reading, and we bounce ideas off each other. We play cards together. He's one of the most talented salespeople I've ever met in my entire life, a consummate professional. And I'm grateful to call him a friend, and I'm happy to have him on with our new crew. Kyle, who you guys talked to or met a while back, they're having kiddo number 4, a new baby on the way. So he had to step away, but we have a new team, a new family on board. And anyway, I'm just excited to take this adventure. And with that said, Collin, welcome, brother.
How do you even follow up? That is incredible praise. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, homie. How you doing?
Great.
You look beautiful as usual.
I was interviewing for a new job right before I came here.
Oh, what'd you do?
I was originally going to do what I interviewed for.
Okay.
Was sales training. So I help businesses train sales teams.
Oh, you would kill it.
And that's what I love, to help amplify other people to success. I ended up getting a job offer to relocate to Texas to be.
Are you leaving me?
No,
okay.
I won't take it. My dad's
good choice.
My dad's only got a few years left with his cancer and stuff, but it was to sell oil exploration in Texas.
For real?
It guaranteed 7 figures. Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah, I'll turn it down though.
Yeah, well, being away from the family is, and that's a big freaking opportunity. But yeah, I mean,
it does. Money means
this
nothing.
is why we connect.
Money
is because, yeah, you can be offered the whole freaking world, and like my barometer is how much you have to make to not be home at night for hugs and kisses and family prayers.
There's no.
I just work at freaking McDonald's if I have to. I don't effing care. Like whatever it takes to make those years matter. You don't get him back. Sorry about your pops. I didn't know he was that far along. Is he struggling? Yeah.
He's.
I mean, cancer, of course, he is.
Yeah, he's guaranteed. It's in the blood, but it's reactivating his MS. He's got rheumatoid arthritis. I mean, it looks
cancer, arthritis, MS.
Yeah, and so.
Do you struggle with some of this stuff, or?
I had MS when I was younger. Yeah. Guaranteed. Well, actually, there's the questions. We'll go into that too.
Yeah, I was gonna say, why do you say guaranteed?
Because I was basically given a timeline of when I would die, because it was so advanced at such a young age.
No kid. This is learning something.
Yeah.
I've known you for what, better part of a decade?
I never talk about it. I don't want anyone. Usually, I don't want anyone to know that I was sick. I'm not a victim. I don't want your pity. I don't need anything. Yeah. I'll fight and I'll go get what I want because I want it and I'm able to get it.
Respect. So do you want me to steer clear of that one?
No, open book.
Okay.
This is answering these questions is a big being vulnerable and growing. Like, I'm so proud of you for doing this. And part of it was when I was looking at these questions and I was thinking about it, and it was like, oh, I could answer these so poetically, and I could try to wordsmith this into being.
No, just be you,
and
bro.
It was like, you know what? That's not what this is. This is Josh. I'm gonna be raw. I'm gonna be true, and I'm gonna be who I am, and I'm gonna say the real deal.
Well, thanks, homie. That really is what the higher road is about. The way I describe it is everybody's on a different path. And there's all these roads that people are taking, right? Some are into the trees, the forests, the oceans. They're traveling over the mountains, into caves, wherever it is, over fields. And everybody's running around. Oh, your path is the wrong one. Your path isn't right. You're doing it. You're not doing it the way you should, And it's like you only have the power over another living soul to do two things. You can make their day better, or you can make it worse. Yep. Right? Love God, love thy neighbor, the two great commandments. Mm-hmm. And yet everybody, Christianity, atheists, Muslims, Buddhists, whatever. Everybody's trying to recruit people to their way of doing things. And as long as your heart's in the right place and you're sharing it, that's one thing. But so many people are running around saying, nope, you can't be happy. Nope, you have to go over the mountains. And you're like, yeah, but my path takes me through the trees. And they're like, well, no, you can't be happy, though, because my path takes me over the mountains. It's the stupidest mentality that I've ever seen. So what the higher road is once you get past through the forest and past the plains and, you cross the ocean and you go over the top of the mountain, on the back side where you can't see to, all those roads converge together and they lift up off this plane to a higher level of consciousness, a higher level of thinking. And that's what the higher road is. It's a life of purpose, a life of peace, and a life of prosperity. That's why we do the crap that we do.
Absolutely.
That's why we get up. That's why we do the jobs that we hate sometimes, and we're stressed out. But then we look at the children that we love. We look at our sweetheart, and we're like, okay, I'll do it again.
I'll do it again, and I'll try harder.
Yeah. So,
Absolutely.
well, let me. I want to start with a little bit of your childhood. This is going to feel like a, what is it? Where they sit you on the couch? Tell me about your. What is one of your most life-changing memories or experiences? It sounds like MS was intervened in there or intertwined in there somehow. What's one of your most life-changing experiences from your childhood that's helped shape you to who you are today? The beautiful, wonderful person you are. Look how handsome you are. You're so beautiful.
Well, I was coming to meet you. I had to do my makeup today.
Yeah.
One of the most impactful moments of my childhood. I was 14. I had just got done spending my first 2 weeks of my high school sophomore year at Primary Children's Hospital.
At what age?
14.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
I was 14. I'd been sick. Things had been not going good for a couple years. So I started getting really sick when I was 12 years old. And
like just colds or much worse than that?
We'll get into the details in a second here. And so a lot of the symptoms of MS, there's a huge list of them. But what MS is, it's basically, long story short, it's a disease that kills the nerves and like eats away at your spine. And I've seen my father's x-rays from when he was diagnosed with it. And if, like bones are white, I looked at my father's x-rays and it looks like black lightning shooting through his spine. Literally deteriorates the spine, kills the nerves. Like, it's a death sentence. And there's no cure. I was 14 years old. I just got done spending 2 weeks in the hospital. And my parents came. A doctor came in the office. And, my dad's very, no BS. Give it to me straight. Don't do any. Just tell me, what is it, doc? And the doctor looks at us and he goes, he'll be dead by 30. He's going to be in a wheelchair by 20.
I never knew this.
That's the truth.
Wow. So it's MS is deterioration of the spine. It doesn't sound. I mean, it sounds painful.
It is.
And what are some of the other symptoms, just so I can understand how intense?
Extreme fatigue. The one that was very prevalent for me was, it feels like your legs are just on fire. It literally feels like you're holding your legs next to an open flame way too close all the time. You can't sleep.
Because it's nerve pain.
Nerve pain. Yeah. It literally shoots.
I'm no stranger to nerve pain.
Nerve pain throughout your entire lower half of your body. And then extreme fatigue. My dad took me to the hospital when we went for a family hike one Sunday. And my dad, who had MS his entire life, he could beat me in a hike. The family had to keep stopping because I couldn't even walk like a quarter of a mile without just being shot. And it
because the pain, it makes you tired, it saps your energy.
Yeah, literally there's no energy. Like, imagine if you just got done running a marathon and then someone said, okay, now go climb, the 1,000 flight of stairs in China to get to the Burger King at top. And you're like, no, I'll have it my way. Throw it from the top stair.
Dude, I never knew this about you.
Yeah. I never talk about it.
So what, I mean, obviously here you are today. What happened?
God. And that's not an exaggeration. My father should be dead. Literally, he should be dead. He's on borrowed time. He went to his bishop. So he's an LDS member. He went to his bishop when he was basically on his deathbed, and he said, "My work is not done. I am not meant to leave. I am deserving. Fix me." His bishop gave him a blessing of health. 2 weeks later, it went into full remission, and it never came back until about maybe a month ago. And he's 50, or he's 62.
Wow. So from that moment, it was no problem.
Gone. He still had the residual of what had happened to him, but it stopped, and it didn't proceed for 35 years. So when I was 17, when I was 17, it was not good. I was dying, literally. And my dad, he said, "I know what to do." So he gave me a blessing of health, and he said, "Take the burden away from him. It's not his time. I know these things." Full remission. Haven't had an issue in 14 years.
Dang. Brother, that's heavy stuff.
That's the truth. 17. I should have been in a wheelchair by 19. And I just turned 31 in November. And so it was just another day in the world. And at the end of the night, I went and sat on the trunk of my car, and I looked at the sky, and I just said, "Not yet."
Dude, that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing. For real.
Thank you.
Yeah, I can't believe dude, how many times have we hung out? How many hundreds of times? But
Hundreds
I guess
of hours
it doesn't
together.
really ever make sense to be like, "Hey, by the way, can you pass me that card? By the way, I had MS and nearly died." Yeah. Again, that's crazy. So, I mean, the way you talk about your pops, obviously you talked about him, hiking up that hill and leading the way, and he had, he still had issues from his MS. It sounds like you really look up to your pops.
I idolized him for a long time. I literally wanted to be like him, and I sought his affirmation almost too much when I was young. But there's,
So how did your dad going through that? How did that influence your life? How did that? I mean, did it? Obviously, I would imagine it would grow you closer together, having gone through that and him as well. Or
it should have, but
interesting.
The reality is that life has a funny way of playing things out. My dad ended up working for an international company doing cybersecurity. He was on the road 11 months or more out of the year.
Holy crap!
I actually,
I knew he traveled. I didn't know it was that much.
It was that much, yeah. And so
your mom was basically a single parent.
Yeah, for years, literally the most important teenage years. So from the age of 13 to basically 21, right before I moved out, my dad was gone, literally on the road. He lived in hotels. He was a platinum diamond member in 3 different
millions
hotels,
of sky miles,
2 different airlines. He has lifetime access to their master sky lounges and stuff. Yeah. So, ironically enough, my dad came home, took me to the hospital, figured out I was diagnosed, and then left. So I actually lacked a real father figure, a male figure in my life. And then, my mother, she had 6 kids. And so now she's trying to raise 6 kids alone. She can't give the proper time, the proper love and attention to every single one of them.
Yeah, it's hard enough for 2 people with that many kids.
Yeah, it's hard enough for 2, not to mention 1.
Yeah.
And so so my mom tried to be the best mother she could. But the reality is that she had to try too hard. And so it hurt her deeply whenever her children made mistakes. But that means you couldn't talk to mom about hard things because she made it about herself. And that's, I don't blame her for that. She was doing the best she could. It was brutal when one of her kids made mistakes. So you just learned that.
Because she's got only so much bandwidth. It's here's another thing, and I can barely handle what I got.
Yeah.
And so when a kid gets a problem, mom's saying, there's not anything left for me to even tackle that.
And you got my oldest is my sister at 35, and my youngest is my baby sister, and she's 21.
Wow.
So she's got
14 years. Yeah.
She's got kids going through the rebellious teenage phase, and then she's still dealing with children, toddlers, infants, going into 5-6 year olds preschool age. So it's as the third out of 6, you're kind of stuck in that middle ground where mom doesn't have the bandwidth because she's got teenagers who are growing into themselves, and then she's got literal children. And then my dad's gone, literally just gone. So from a very young age, I just learned to walk alone.
So where were you at in the span of your 6 kids in the family? Like, where did you...
Number 3.
Okay, you were
So
in the middle.
my mom
You were
had-
the peacemaker?
I was just the funny one. I've always been the funny one.
Well, it's the middle.
you know?
Middle one, funny, humorous, kind of a bridge,
Yeah.
right?
But my mom had like 2 sets of kids. So she had 6 kids, but we come in like sets. So the first 3 are 2 years
Like
apart.
collector's edition.
Yeah. She had to go for the second
Yeah.
second collector's pile. And then so there's my older sister, brother, and me, and we're 2 years apart. So it's 31, 33, 35. But then there's a 5-year gap to my younger brother, and he's 27, 25, and 23.
Oh yeah, yeah, no. So growing up like that, dad's gone. How did that affect your? I mean, you just got a 7-figure sales job offer with an oil company in Texas, right? And you walked away from that for family. How did your upbringing, watching your father not be there, did that have a profound effect on why you made the decision you just made?
Substantially.
How so?
Because I know what happens to kids when they don't have a male role model in their life. I know what becomes of them. And I know, and I hate this word because this word is so overused in today's society, but I know the traumas that go into, and the like psychosis that goes into like the effect mentally.
Trauma's real though. People
But
have it.
it's real. Everyone uses it though.
Yeah.
You know, and almost
They're getting
much
too
these
lazy with
days.
it nowadays.
Yeah, it's an excuse now. Trauma is an excuse. It's not something that you overcome. And so I almost hate using the word, but it is the real word.
So unpack that for me. So you have this life-changing job, right? I mean, was it hard? What was the mental process going through that? What did you go through? Because a big part of the high road for me is, I went through a lot of hell. I tried to get my parents to get divorced because they were always fighting. You know some of the stories, right? And we were broke all the time. And so I was like, man, I didn't want to do this podcast, but if I can show people, I've had some great business accomplishments and failures and successes along the way, right? But one of the things I'm most proud of, if not probably the most proud of, is I'm a really good dad and a really good husband because I saw what it was like to be a bad dad.
Yeah.
I saw what a bad marriage looked like, and I was so grateful for that, right? And I thought, how selfish of me to not take the hurt that I had and try to help other people not hurt as much.
Well, that's what you're supposed to do with it.
That's what pain is for.
That's what suffering is for. Suffering is a tool to help other people. It's godly. That's why you do it. You're supposed to take the burdens you have. Like one of my really good friends, one of my best friends, he has a severe problem with pornography. Like he can't beat it. Maybe he has now. I haven't talked to him in a few months, but I just looked at him and I said, dude, imagine who you're going to help one day when you beat this demon.
Yeah.
Like the gratitude they will have for the struggle you went through. I mean, like,
when people like that understand, nobody can. My wife, her parents lost their son when he was a teenager, and them going through that, she's been able to talk to people that nobody else can talk to, because you can't there's nothing I could do when I know somebody in the church that lost one of their kiddos, and I just felt, and they said people will come to your door and wish you well, that they'll feel drawn. And I barely knew this guy, but he was nice, and I felt like I should go to the door, and I just said, hey, I just want you to know I'm here. And this is hard for me because I'm, socially, I'm not overly an extrovert, and so, or at all an extrovert. And so I go over there, and I just knock on their door. I was felt butterflies. I was sweating because I'm like, what do you say?
what do you say?
What do you say, right? But I just wanted you to know I'm here. And if you need anything, and the kids looked at me and I'm not mad at them. Like, there was a little part of me, I was like how selfish of me, right? But how rude, because it was pretty rude. There was but they looked at me, and it's like, can you imagine the depths of the pain that because their younger brother, while they were at church, I remember hearing a pop, and he had shot himself in the head, but it didn't kill him, so he crawled from the bathtub to the backyard where he died, and they had to go to that mess. As teenage kids, they went home to see that.
Jeez.
So when I looked into those kids' eyes, I mean, it was despair, it was hurt, but I just wanted their family to know I was there. They were just like, yeah, we don't need anything. And it was just
Empty.
gone. And they have to find that again. So I'm like, okay, and people are going through stuff like that. How selfish of me to not use my pain to help ease other people's burdens as best I can. And that's why we're here today.
I completely agree.
So unpack that again for me, though. So you said no. Like, what was the mental process for you? Like, what did you think about when you said no to life-changing money to be in your family?
I don't want this to sound dramatic, but it wasn't an option. I didn't think about money. I didn't think about a paid-off house. I didn't think about cars or toys. I thought, if I take my family and we leave to Texas, custody is going to be even harder because me and my wife, we have a mixed family. So we don't have any children together. We both brought children from previous marriages.
Mm-hmm. Yours, mine, and ours family.
Yeah.
Yeah, I grew up in that.
Yeah, yours and mine. So I thought, no, absolutely not. We're not fighting over state lines for custody battles.
Mm-hmm.
My dad's only got a few years left to live. I'm supposed to look at my father who needs me. Like I am the only temple endowed male that's close. My older brother is, but he's in Georgia, across the country. So me and my dad, we do temple work every Wednesday. We go to the temple every week because I'm the only one that can help him get it done. And it's like I'm gonna walk away from the work that he and God need me to do for money. Not a chance.
That's awesome.
If I want $1 million, I'll go get $1 million and God will help me do it. I'm not running off to Texas, and I'm not leaving the work I need to do behind.
It's funny because I'm just not surprised. It's the kind of person you are. You talk deeply about going to the temple, the spirituality, and how God's been the focus. How is your relationship with the higher power, with God, Heavenly Father? How has that guided your life? How has that shaped your decisions? Obviously, we can see here that, family over money is an easy decision. I feel the same way. I think it's the only decision. What else is there? Oh, man, look at the rims on my car. Where's Daddy? Oh, man, look at this beautiful new addition I just put on this third floor of my house. Son, are you there?
Oh, man, I just bought my third investment property. Not at the dance recitals.
Yeah. Yep. No. Just the easiest no on the planet.
It wasn't even a thought. It didn't even take me a second to say no.
So have you always been close to God like this?
No. I was we deactivated from the LDS church because of people. That's been the hardest part for me. It was brutal. I watched it.
Fake, superficial crap.
Yeah, and really judgmental.
Yeah, judgmental is a big problem.
I'm not going to say places or names, but we were part of a ward, and people make mistakes. Someone in my family made a mistake, and I remember walking through the church halls, listening, and people be like, "Can you believe what so-and-so gamble? Did you hear about that?" I literally would walk through church halls and listen to church members gossiping about my family. And then we were 11, 12 is when that happened. And I remember...
People don't understand how hurtful that is, man.
No idea.
When you're needed the most and you're hurting the most. And it's funny, they're sitting there talking about someone who's going through some of the worst trials of their life. And they're putting it on display of they're using it for a chat room gossip session.
They're using it to make themselves seem better.
Yeah.
And I remember I went home and told my dad. I said, "Dad, they're talking about us in the church halls." And my dad was like, "Excuse me?" And he went, he sat with the bishop, and I'm assuming he ripped into the bishop, but he came home, and my mom was heartbroken. She was heartbroken, that people would say that over mistakes that people make. And
which is ironic, because where else are you supposed to be?
Where do imperfect people go?
Yeah, exactly.
That's where they're supposed to be. That's where they need love and support more. Is where God resides. That's
Yeah.
where we go to be better people and to help from those trials. And
The whole need not a physician.
my dad looked at us and he said, "You only have to go if you want to now." So I actually deactivated from when I was 12 to 25.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I remember I've had a couple overwhelmingly spiritual experiences, and I have them written down and everything. So if you ever wanted to read them, you could read them. But
is it something I can press you on? Because I am curious, or you want to do that another time?
I think that would be almost a little too extreme for the first time.
Sure.
Because they're so deep in a way that I don't think people would believe they were real. Like, when they make these war movies and they don't include some of the stories because they don't think the audiences will believe it. It's literally like that. But they're so profound, and there's literal evidence that is beyond a shadow of a doubt that my personal testimony is, I know God is real. I know it's real because I have seen things so profound.
Yeah, I recall the experience I have when I was willing to burn the Book of Mormon. I didn't know if I wanted to go on a mission. I said, I'll throw it in the garbage. If it's not true, I'm not going to tell this story to people. And it was for me, I didn't eat for 2 days and 2 nights, and I wasn't going to eat again until I got my answer. And it wasn't a challenge, but it was if I'm going to go do this, I have to know. And and I got whooped for crying, and if you cried, you got hit harder. So, like, crying in me doesn't work. And I sobbed uncontrollably for like a week straight. Like, I would just have to, I would hide my face. I go to bed. Nobody knew, right? Because I was pretty stoic about it. But it was like my mind and my soul was opened, and it was like liquid knowledge of the truth of their existence and their divinity. And I've gotten mad. I've cursed at the heavens and cussed out God, and to my shame,
I feel that's normal.
And screamed and been furious and full of rage, and to my shortcomings and my perceived hardships and frustrations, and woe is me, and when I look back though, but the one thing I could hate them, God willing, again I won't, but I could hate them before I could ever deny their existence. I wouldn't believe it anymore if they appeared in front of me. It was one of the most life-changing, and it shaped every aspect of my life ever since. Yep. But it was a heavy price, and it was like liquid knowledge was poured into my soul, into my mind. And I didn't see them, but there's no human emotion, and I'm sure you could probably relate, but there's no human emotion that even comes close.
You can't you can't portray that into words to
accurately that's exactly right. Like, there's no human language that even comes close. Elation, ecstatic, feeling loved, to like every atom in your body was like being wrapped in like light and a hug and love and understanding, and knowing that it's like, hey kiddo, like, we wrote this together. Like, this is God's school. And if I'm going to teach you to do the things that I do and to, live differently, it's going to hurt. Of course, there was no words. I heard nothing. I saw nothing, but holy cow.
But you feel
it changed my life
forever.
The
words in your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been going to church for 30 years. Well, my whole life, really, since I was 4 or 5 when my parents converted, or my stepdad, my mom. But church has been hard for me my whole life. Judgmental people, fake people, because my friends have tattoos or smoke weed, and the people that don't understand, like, Christians as a whole, so many of them are like, oh, you don't look or act the way, like, you don't fit into the sheep pod, you don't do this thing. And I've always been like, because I don't care. Like clothes and these little cliquey things that people do don't mean anything. But I had the experiences I had, and I go for him. But if it was for the people, yeah, dude, I would have pieced out a long time ago. And it doesn't mean there's not beautiful people there too.
No, absolutely not. And when I reactivated at 25, I was put into a perfect ward for me. You know,
What made it that way?
The people were a kind of people, because at this point my only experience with, you know, Mormons was that we were cliquey. And you keep hearing the Utah, you know, everyone talks about like a Utah stereotype.
Utah
right?
Mormons. Yeah.
Utah Mormons, right? That's not an uncommon phrase here. And, you know, my family fell victim to that, to Utah Mormons.
Oh yeah, we did
And
too.
so when I rejoined and I went back, it was one, going back just initially was a very unique but difficult experience for me before I even like went to regular church and met like the members and stuff.
Why was it so difficult? Did it feel just uncomfortable, embarrassing, awkward? What?
Because when I went back, it was during COVID.
Oh wow.
And I was selling cars during COVID at the time. And, you know, what do people do with a stimulus check? They went and bought a new car. I killed it in COVID. COVID was great for me. Like, I made tons of money in COVID. It was the best year I ever had selling cars.
Yeah, car sales during COVID were like, I remember they paid me. I had a Dodge Ram.
Oh yeah.
And they paid me $4,600 more than I paid for the car after I put 30,000 miles on it and owned it for 2.5 years.
And then they sold it
For more.
for way more. Yeah, no, COVID was a gold mine for car salesmen. And so I remember I went to the bishop, and before I met the bishop, I was doing yard work in my front yard, and we had this lady next to us. This British lady was my neighbor, Rivera. That's her last name. And she was such a sweetheart. You know, she would bring coloring books home from work to give to the kids, and she was super welcoming. And I remember I was working in my front yard, and I watched her walk out to her mailbox, and this overwhelming feeling hit me, and it said, "Go ask her for the bishop's phone number." And I was just like, okay, I'll do it. Because at this point I had started kind of saying my prayers again, where I just said, I want to be a better man. I just want to be a better man. I don't know what that means.
That was what your prayers
That's
were.
what my prayers were. I just want to be, how do I be a better man? I just want to be the best version of myself. And then this overwhelming feeling hit me to go ask for the bishop's phone number for my neighbor. And so, and the hard part was, though, when I sat down with my bishop, he goes, "So, why are you here?" And I looked at him and I went, "I have no idea why I'm here. Why am I here? I had a feeling I was supposed to come talk to you. What am I doing here?" And he goes, "Okay, well, let me tell you about the first step that we start with. You know, how long has it been?" I was like 13, 14 years. And he goes, "Okay, so the first step is repentance." And I said, "Okay, well, what does that actually mean? I don't actually know what repentance is." And he looked at me with a dead face and he goes, "Well, first off, you need to start by telling me every bad thing you've ever done." And I'm not joking. There was literally like 8 to 12 seconds of pure silence. And my initial reaction was,
No.
no. My father raised me. You do not burden other people with your problems. You don't tell people your issues. They don't need to know that stuff. And so my gut reaction was get up and walk out. And I almost did. I sat there and I kind of tensed as I was getting ready to stand up. And then the thought hit me. And I said, if I get up and walk out, nothing changes. And so I took a really deep breath after about 10 seconds and I went,
Brace yourself, buddy. Yeah.
"Where do we start?"
Yeah.
And he goes, "Start from the beginning." And then I proceeded to tell him every bad thing I've ever done. And then,
Did you feel like it helped?
overwhelmingly, the feeling, you know, missionary work, it's really interesting when you talk about missionary work, because everyone's like, "Oh, you need to convert." You know, like, it's like, no. A missionary's job is not to convert. It is to tell others about the love of God, and the Spirit will do the work. Because the feeling that it has, that we talk about, is so overwhelming and powerful, it cannot be denied by the one receiving it. And so he didn't tell me anything. I simply did what I believed was right and what I didn't want to do. But the feeling I had was so positive that this was the right thing to do, that my repentance process was overwhelmingly good. And
I remember when you were coming back.
yeah,
You definitely, you went from, I wouldn't say it wasn't like you were not a positive person before, but
I was an asshole.
you seemed like, well, you weren't to me though.
Yeah,
right?
but everyone
But-
else, like, I just wasn't good person, and I know that.
But you didn't seem dark. But the difference I remember when you told me you were coming back and because I've known you way longer than 5 years.
Yeah.
Almost
a decade.
Yeah, almost a decade. I was going to say 9, 10 years.
Yeah.
And I remember before, you were a positive guy. It was like you were content. You just kind of did your own thing.
Yeah.
But I remember you were like glowing. You know that people say that and you see it sometimes, but you were different. You had a bounce in your step. You had a peace about you and a sense of purpose that I don't think you had before. Like when you would talk about things, that there was like a mission now. There was you, for lack of a better phrase, you were on your own higher road.
Yeah. And that's exactly what it was.
Maybe that was a shameless plug. My bad. My bad.
We like to introduce our sponsor.
Yeah. So your relationship with God, that shaped your life. It made it easier for you to walk away from, a life-changing financial opportunity. What now? You said you came in from a job interview today. Was that the job interview? Or is it a different one?
That was a different one.
Okay. Is it something that'll let you stay here?
Yeah.
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 So let me ask you this. As we've talked, you've gone over entrepreneurial ideas and different aspects of life. I've talked to you, and again, as long as you're okay with it, about the ups and the downs, the hard times you've been through. Why is it so hard to get ahead and be successful in today's world? What do you, in your opinion, right? What is causing so many people from being able to get ahead? What is causing entrepreneurs from taking that next step? We know the obvious reasons: inflation and food prices and gas prices.
I completely disagree. I'm going to take this a whole different direction.
Okay, cool. Yeah, please.
When people talk about how hard it is to get ahead, personally, I think all of that that's an illusion. You're not even looking at the real problem. You're looking at symptoms. When people, and not you specifically, but when people talk about that.
No, I love that you're saying this, because a lot of people don't feel the way you feel.
It's a joke. You talk about someone that's like, oh, well, groceries are up 175% or this or that. That's not the problem. Inflation's always been a thing forever, since the history of time. Like, the problem is the way the world conditions people. Mm-hmm. That is the problem. We're programmed and wired to live a certain way and do a certain lifestyle.
Excess.
We're taught to get into debt, to get the nice car because you can get it for the low payment. You can have anything you want. I mean, you go to a grocery store in like Russia. It's one brand. It's the same thing for 15 aisles. People come to America and they don't believe the amount of options we have. We have so much excess. Mm-hmm. And it's because we're trained to get into debt, to have nice things, to live good lives, to live with the Joneses. It's how we're conditioned. It's how we're wired. We're conditioned into consumerism. We don't teach people to be self-dependent, to be independent. We don't teach people how to grow and create. We teach people how to go to college and become a drone and to work for the Big Apple.
Yep. Yeah, everything in America, to me, is a socioeconomic construct where entities, corporations, they spend hundreds of billions of dollars to program the minds of people from their birth till their death.
Literally.
And every single thing that happens in your life is, what is the American dream for you? It is to have a house with a mortgage. I need 4 bedrooms. I need my own personal office. We need 2 cars with a mortgage on the car, or debt on the car, debt on the other car.
I need a truck to go play with, to pull my RV, but I also want my sports car so I can look nice when I go to restaurants and feel good about myself.
I need this watch, these clothes. And it's like...
Buy designer.
In the 1940s, I was just reading an article about this. In the 1940s and the 1950s, the average house was under 1,000 square feet. It was 850 to like 930 square feet. And that was in the era of, I believe it's around this time or just after that. Leave It to Beaver, right? What did they say? Hey, honey, be home at 5. I need the car. Because you had one car.
You had one car.
Right? You had a 2 to 3 bedroom house, and that didn't matter if you had 4 or 5 kids. You had bunk beds or, triple beds or whatever they're called. And you made it work. And we've been sold this false reality of excess, that you can't be happy unless what? Like an Andrew Tate says, you got to have the Bugatti, the watches, the bees, right? You gotta have all this crap. Look at me, Cobra. And now I love what he says about geopolitics. I think it's brilliant.
He says a lot of things that a lot of people don't like it, even when you bring up his name and say he's got a point. There are a lot of things he says that when he says them, I just go, that's a good point. Like, he's proven a solid thing. And then he'll be like, yeah, like men will dump their girlfriends because they were in a three-way with me. And I'm like, that.
Yeah. It's kind of like,
Right.
but he's in clickbait, rage,
100%.
rage bait, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, geopolitics, like he's probably one of the best orators on that topic in the world.
Yeah.
One of the worst examples of a father figure, of so many things, of like how to be a good man, of how to love properly and be considerate and be caring of others. Like I think in many ways he fails horribly there.
I
Like, what a
completely agree.
horrible example. That's their daddy, and his little girls are hearing him talk that way
I completely agree.
about women. And I really believe, and that, again, this is part of the purpose why I wanted to have someone like you on, and many of the guests that we have on, is like, what about family? What about what really matters? So we just talked about, like, why would there be this narrative of what the American dream is? Well, if you're broke and you don't have options and you're stressed and you're angry, those are the easiest people to control. It doesn't matter. You think the Republicans and Democrats are saying, oh, the right, the left? No, they're just thinking, hey, let's put this good show on camera, get everybody riled up, because as long as they're fighting, they'll never pay attention to all the corruption and crazy stuff. No, who goes to jail? I mean, never. Nobody goes to jail ever. Nothing ever happens, and yet they rage and scream. This is outrageous, as they say. They say there's going to be an indictment. We're going to look into this matter. The FBI, the DOJ, all these people, right? Homeland Security. We're going to investigate. Who goes to jail?
Nobody.
We do. We do, for the things that they do. So they've sold us this narrative, and the reality is, by keeping everybody angry and broke, you're just trying to survive. You're just trying to make rent. I've been there. I've been near bankruptcy twice. You're just trying to put food on the table.
And yet, even through all this, every week, everybody's got to talk about the game on Sunday.
Yeah,
And it drives me nuts.
Don't get me started.
I
haven't seen
the
a Super
last
Bowl in a
thing you
decade.
will ever hear me talk about is what happened on the sports channel.
Yeah.
I couldn't care about any of that stuff.
Did I ever show you that video with William Cooper where he says, send him to the circus?
I'm not sure if you showed me the video.
He
We've
said it
talked
better
about
than
it.
I'm about to say it, so I just want to give him credit because I'm paraphrasing. But he just said anytime that the peasants or the people became restive and they began to question the emperor and to question his dictates and his rule over them, he would send them to the circus, chariot races and gladiator fights and
Colosseum.
whatever it does to keep their minds distracted and entertained.
And then throw bread at them.
Yeah, and so you have no focus on what's real. You don't focus about the hardship. You don't focus on the fact that your bread is moldy. And maggoty, and that you're stressed, and that you're oppressed, and that they're taxing you to oblivion. You don't have time. You're like, man, dude, can you believe he got 45 points by putting a circle and bouncing it on the floor and throwing it into a circle in the air? And then they're paying him $40 million. He's on tennis shoes and T-shirts and jerseys, and this becomes literally their idol.
Yeah.
Right? And so I'm like, okay, so help me unpack this. The American dream, what is it? What should it be? We see what it is. We just described how fake and how manipulated it's become. But what is the real American dream? Like, explain that to me. Show me how I can live the American dream to people all over out there.
So
How can you live the American dream? You've gone through hard times, right?
of course.
How do I live the American dream? Get me there. Because you said you're positive, you're
Okay,
optimistic.
This is gonna be. I don't know if this is gonna be considered a hot take, but from what I have lived through, seen my personal friends, male, female, go through, friends that I have non-binary friends and trans friends. Like, I don't care what you do, your life, man, whatever, or gal, however you fly. Personally,
Yeah, agency. It's the whole reason we're here.
the whole
Choose
reason
for
we're
yourself.
here, whole reason we're here is agency, right? Make our choices. When men stop watching porn, work out a little bit every day, okay, find something to pursue, give glory to God, be a warrior, be a protector, be a provider, be a builder. You will find men that will be unstoppable.
Yeah.
And, you know, I know there's this huge, like, you know, boss babe, you know, girls being super strong.
Yeah, boss B. Yeah.
Boss, yeah. I think it's a load of shit. I think it's a load. Stop putting your life on social media for attention. Learn how to make
Sorry,
sourdough.
everybody. I apologize.
No,
I know. I'm giving you a hard time. I'm giving you a hard
don't
time.
at all. I'm
Keep
being
going.
straight out.
Okay, keep going. You're on a roll. I interrupted. I apologize.
And when I say stop looking for I mean the girls that are like doing inappropriate things.
I know.
There's nothing
I'm just
wrong.
playing.
There's nothing wrong with sharing your life on Facebook.
Yeah.
I think that's beautiful. But, you know, when you're posting inappropriate thirst content for attention, you know, knock it off. Respect your body.
Well, be
learn how
enough
to make
without it,
sourdough.
right? Be enough without social media.
I mean, you should. If you're living and hoping for that dopamine hit, for people following you and admiring you, for honestly not really adding any value, I think that's dangerous. I think you're feeding into the problem that the world is trying to teach you, which is to have ego, have, you know, make it about yourself, make lots of money, because most people aren't doing the best versions of themselves.
Yeah.
They're literally putting on an act for wealth, but they're losing out on so much.
Yep.
So girls, stop doing that. Learn how to make sourdough. Learn how to be the best mother that you can by loving and caring for your children and your neighbors.
Yep.
Created a community based on helping each other. You will find happiness. Me and my wife are going through that right now. She's, you know, she wanted to climb the corporate ladder. And I said, okay, let's go ahead and try that. She tried climbing the corporate ladder and found out she didn't like it. She tried to do this, found out she didn't like it. We just sat down and had a conversation for like what we're going to plan out for 2026. And I was like, who do you want to be? And she goes, I want to come home and I want to learn how to make sourdough, and I want to dress in Renaissance clothing, and I want to look like a girl from Little House on the Prairie, and I want to raise meat rabbits and chickens.
That's
and
awesome.
I said, you got it, babe. You got it.
That's awesome. I love that.
She is finding more joy. She's had more joy using the KitchenAid we got her for Christmas than she has been analyzing financials for a company. She's a data analyst right now.
So funny when people come into harmony with like a higher calling or a higher purpose in their life, and the peace it brings. You know, it's kind of like in a way this podcast
peace.
for me. Like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to be famous. I'm like, how do I not do this? And here we are, and I feel like it's right. These conversations have helped me grow. They help me, you know, see things the way, you know, in different ways and different perspectives. But yeah, like when you're connecting to something that you're supposed to be doing, there's call it energy, vibrations, whatever hippie thing or energy or spiritual thing, but it just feels different.
It feels different.
Like life feels different.
Mm-hmm.
Things make more sense. You feel definitely more peace.
More peace. You're happier.
Is your home different after this decision of hers?
Absolutely.
How so?
Well, it's because she's taken on a different mindset, and body language alone, you can see the difference. You see that someone is no longer chasing something. They're doing what is natural and good for them. And so, you know, you see her poring over spreadsheets and data sheets, and she's trying to keep up with the market for the mortgage and the housing industry and everything. And, you know, now she's like, meh, I'm going to come home. I'm going to clean the kitchen. We sit down every night that we have our kids. We sit down at the table and have a meal together. And we did that it took 2 times as us sitting down as a family, me, my wife, and my 3 girls. We sat down twice. And the kids literally told us, can we do this every night? The kids literally crave and desire it. They want mom and dad to be there. They want their attention. They want you to read with them and study scriptures with them and grow with them. It's what is so right that it took one comment from my daughters, and my wife was like, we're doing this every day now. It's priority. We have to do this every day. And she came from a hard background too. I'd say it was even harder than mine. She had a lot of outside things beating her down. Mine were a lot of inner. And so, you know, her background with that, and with her kids saying, we love to be home and we love you guys being with us. It broke my wife down, and she went, no, this is our new norm. We do this every day. This is the priority. You get home every night, and we sit down, we have dinner, and we do a family event every night on Monday night.
I love that. How? So you talked about your spouse's journey, and and she found her divine role, something that she connects to and brings her peace, and that peace obviously spreads throughout the family. But for yourself, for men, young men, middle-aged men, right? How do you find success today? You said part of it's a mindset, but what does the American dream look like for them? How do we get them there? Obviously a happy home is part of it.
For young men to find purpose and desire, I don't want this to sound almost contradictory to what I said, but you need to go work hard. When you're young, you have an ability to go do things. You just priorities just shift. When you're young, you have the ability to go work really, really hard, to go find what you like. I would say stop playing video games. When I made a commitment and I stopped playing video games for like 6 months, and I said, I'm not going to touch them. I'm going to figure out who I want to be and what I want to do. The biggest thing a young man needs to do, and I did this when I was 19. I went to a Subway at like 3 a.m. and I took a book and I wrote down the man I wanted to be, and then I wrote down the woman that kind of man could have. So I wrote down my wife first. I wrote down every attribute I wanted my wife to have, and then I wrote down the kind of man that could acquire that kind of woman. And then I said, this is the kind of man I need to become.
And then you got to work.
And then you got to work.
Yeah, I love that.
And that's hard because a lot of that isn't go to work. When I say go to work, young men are probably thinking, oh, I'm 16, I work at Burger King, so I need to go flip more burgers. No, you didn't hear what I said. You need to go to work, the hard work. You need to go look inside. You need to go do a lot of inner reflection, and you need to look at the hard truths. And then you need to overcome that. A lot of people call this generational curses. My dad and his dad, and so you ever heard the story of the drunk man with the 2 sons?
Mm-mm. Let's hear it.
So it's pretty quick. There's a man. He's an alcoholic. He's abusive. He's a drunk. He had 2 sons. One son became an abusive alcoholic drunk, and he said, "Well, it's what I learned from my father." The other man never took alcohol, became successful, and had a loving family, a loving wife, and was loved by all. And they said, "Well, where'd your success come from?" And he said, "Oh, I learned everything from my father." You can beat it and overcome it, or you can succumb.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I wouldn't change my life. I learned how to be. I was honestly, it's such a blessing. I wouldn't change my childhood. I punched holes through the front door, lived on other people's couches for 3 days at a time, hoarding in the home and fighting, and sometimes I'd throw stuff, and just an angry childhood and home. And there was love too sometimes, but it was just angry, stressful. Yeah. And I wouldn't change it for anything.
Nothing.
Because it was literally line for line the blueprint of doing the opposite, of seeing exactly, oh, he doesn't change diapers when my mom is pregnant and sad and stressed. I get up off my freaking butt. She needs help. I'm changing diapers. Wiping those poopy butts, that's what it takes. She needs help, right? It's not her job to make dinner. She does it, and I'm super grateful, but it's not her job. What she does at home with the kids is just as hard as what I do out there. And if I have to give the nod to what I do that provides the home and the finances for us, and being a mom for our babies, I give the nod to her. That's the most important role in this world, is raising these, eternal little beings and spending the most time with them on a day-to-day basis. And yeah, all those hardships, the yelling, the fighting, the hitting, the bullying, the way my stepdad parented, man, just no. And I've been, oh my gosh, it's one of the greatest blessings in my entire life. And what blows my mind, though, Collin, is how many people, they go through that experience, and I'll bet you it's got to be like 90% or more just do exactly what their mom and dad did.
Yeah.
They just say, hey, this is what I know. And I think it's such a lazier path. But what I don't understand is why the path of pain.
Misery loves company. Pain gets you sympathy. Pain gets you people to pity you, but it gives you it. Okay, here's my personal hot take on this. The energy you get from victimhood and sympathy and pain and pity, it's powerful. It's very powerful, but it's not good. I believe it's of the adversary personally. I think that it's very potent for the wrong reasons. The same way that if you ever watched like these documentaries on like killers, they start to crave it again because it literally gives you a sense of power that becomes addictive.
No.
This is actually another. I got to be careful not to rant too much on this one because I have a lot of friends. Even in my personal friend group, they go, "Oh, well, I have depression, or I have seasonal depression. The sun's behind the clouds, so I'm just not feeling it today." Shut up. I can't say this like literally because I know there are certain issues, but get over it. Get up. Go do things.
Anything. Just move.
And I understand. They go, "Oh, well, it doesn't help." And I'm like, you know what's crazy? Like, you can be sad for no reason, so you might as well be happy for no reason. It's a choice. Literally, it's a choice. And I know that on a personal level because I've made that choice. When people say, "Well, you don't know what it's like," I go, "Yeah, I do." And they go, "Well, you've never struggled. You've never had like this kind of problem." I was like, "Yeah, you're right. I just chose to do something about it when I was supposed to be dead." Like, you can't give me excuses because I've lived through the struggles and I've come out of it. It was all a choice. And, the only way I got out of it was by searching for the Lord and searching for God and trying to walk with them because they're the only ones that can help you. Yeah. You want to go to your therapist you've been going to for 5 years? Maybe you need a new therapist. What, because he's recommending you different prescriptions? Yeah, I don't know anything about prescriptions. Are these guys paid to give out prescriptions?
I mean, I don't know how they would have a job because they're the only ones that can write a prescription.
So these guys are supposed to help you make money off of sending you pills and medicating you. Why are you going to them? God's the only one that loves you more than anyone, more than you love yourself.
Oh, man, that's a lot to unpack. For me, this is how I see depression. My mom has, intense depression that she takes medicine for, and it's changed her life for the better. And so there are some people, and I know you know this,
yes,
but there are some people that have clinical, imbalances,
yes,
right?
But
I watched as they raised my younger brother, and they gave him medicine and pills, and I said, give him to me. No, you're too intense. Give him to me. And he came out and he worked with me and he worked with my brother and we did summer sales and he tried, he talked about going home and quitting it and I chewed him out. I said, the same blood in your veins is in my veins. Resignation not accepted. Get your ace back to freaking work. And I slammed the phone down. I wasn't even that mad, but I was making a point. And I called my mom, don't give him a bus ticket home. Do not let him come home. And guess what? He worked his butt off. 6 days a week, 10 hours a day, hot sun, got a job, successful career in the Air Force, doesn't ever touch medicine. Happy, successful life. And I rarely in my life meet people who are depressed, like to where like they just don't want to do anything, that are actually working and pursuing something, anything. Movement, an activity, a sport, a hobby, connection with other people. But it's interesting that so much of the depression has come about since video games and social media, where people aren't going out into the sunlight. People aren't living an active life. They're just sitting around not really accomplishing. I mean, think about it. When you're on TikTok and they're on social media, I don't have social media, but when they're doing all that stuff, when you're done, what do you have?
Nothing.
You have friendships that are hollow. You have stories to share that aren't your own. Right, you're being a side character in someone else's story when you should be living and being the main character in your own story. Right, you're idolizing people that are the heroes to other people, but you're not being the hero to your children. You're not being the hero in your own story.
No.
And so everything we have, whatever God creates, Satan has to have an equal and opposite opportunity to pervert.
Yep.
So right now, everyone is on this simulation of social interaction. No wonder they're freaking depressed. Like, who are your, like, think of how many people even know who their neighbors are? Like, how many people could go out of their house and say, hey, I'm going to do a barbecue, and everybody in their neighborhood or cul-de-sac can't wait to get together. And they put out folding chairs and tables, kind of like the scene from The Sandlot with the fireworks and the kind of like a big potluck, and everybody brings food and they share each other's company and they know each other and each other's hardships and they have each other's back. Now it's, did you hear so-and-so? Or if something bad happens, can you believe? Right? I couldn't imagine. And then something negative happens. Ooh, yeah, give them some space. It's just we have become so isolated. And again, it's all by design. We know that.
Mm-hmm.
So we talked about finances. We talked about how you can live the American dream. What would you say, Collin, as you throughout your life, if you could go back and look at yourself and say, man, this hurt so much. This was so hard for me. What advice or what counsel would you give yourself that you know now, having the experiences you have now? What would you go back and say to yourself? And I know this is kind of cliche, and a lot of people say this kind of a question, but it really is a powerful question. How would you help yourself not hurt the way you hurt, and how would you help yourself be more motivated and have more peace along the process? How would you get yourself on the higher road? That's what I'm trying to say.
If I went back and met that boy that was sick, I would tell him a story, and I would describe a man to him, and I'd say the hero of this story, man, he slays dragons, he conquers kingdoms, he serves, he's the left hand of the Lord himself. He's strong, he's powerful, he's loved by all, he loves all. And then I would talk this man up as much as I could. And then I would say the hero of the story is who you're going to be, and you have to go through this to become that man. So don't back down, lean in.
Press forward.
Press forward. Because that's the overwhelming answer that I always get when I say my prayers is keep going. Keep going. Okay. And, that's really what it is. I think, personally, I think that what we go through to a degree is what we signed up for. In my personal opinion, if you ask me, this is, doctrine according to Collin, but I believe that before we came down here, we chose what we would go through because we sat down and we said, this is the kind of person that I want to become. This is when I descend down onto the earth and live my mortal life, this is who I want to be. I want to accomplish these things. And I think that we had a council with us that said, well, that means you need to go through these things to become that.
Mm-hmm.
And
I describe it as course curriculum. Like, you want your degree from college, these are the courses. Well, the courses in this earthly life is just sacrifice and pain and enduring to the end and hardship and comforting those that are struggling.
That's what
it's just different course material.
Absolutely. And the temple is the greatest school you can go to. It is a school. I think people see the temple as this place where you need to go to, I need to go find some peace and find some answers. I go to the temple to learn. Yeah. I go there with intent. I go there with questions, and they get answered. I've gotten overwhelming amount of answers in things that I've learned because I just go to the temple to seek to learn. And it's right there.
Let's wrap it up with these last two questions. Of everything happening in the world today, what do you believe is the greatest threat to people's connection to God or connection with each other?
The greatest threat in the world is the world. This is the adversary's dominion. This is the place of test and trial. You want to overcome the world? You need to get away from it. You need to take a step back and think about and focus on what is important in life.
Yeah.
And what really, really matters.
Unplug, disconnect.
Unplug and disconnect.
And plug into something to where the energy source stays within you forever, versus the other, it's a parasitic relationship, social media. Mm-hmm. Think about it. it gives you this energy, these dopamine hits like you described, but only when you're plugged in. And if you don't plug in, if all the people don't plug in, the organism, the parasite itself dies. It has no power.
Mm-hmm. I think you can say that about anything. I think anything can be bad. Like I love to play games. It's how I hang out with my brothers. It's how I hang out with my friends that live in Michigan and Georgia and all this stuff. However, I had to take a step back and realize that the reason why I was playing video games so much when I was younger, like, and I mean like 30 plus hours a week, it was like my other full-time job. It's because it gives you a false sense of accomplishment. Seeing that victory, winning that game,
leveling up. That's the promotion
hitting
you
those
didn't
accomplishments, getting that new set of armor, getting those new abilities, finding a new build for this character. It's a false sense of accomplishment because what happens when you turn that computer off? It's a black screen and you can see your reflection. Nothing has changed. Your room's still dirty. You're still watching porn. You haven't called your mom.
I love that analogy. You turn the screen off, it's a mirror.
It's a mirror.
That's freaking intense, dude.
And that is because it's happened. Because I've literally had that happen where the computer turned off. I saw my reflection. I saw my room was still dirty behind me. Right? I hadn't hung out with my kids that day. And I just went, what am I doing? What am I doing? I can't do this. It's a mirror. When that computer screen turns off, it's a mirror.
Wow. Yeah, Danko once said, you can't be mad at the internet because an internet is just a reflection of yourself. Because the algorithm looks at what you've looked at, looks at what you search for, and gives you more of what you ask it to. So you can't be mad.
I agree with that.
You can't be mad at it. Well, and I can't take credit. Dan Coe said this, but I said, what a profound statement. This is one of the deepest things I've ever heard. Everything on the internet, literally, the program is to show you more of what you ask for. Mm-hmm. It's giving what you requested.
And, you know what's crazy is that there's an equal and an opposite to all of it. So everyone's like, oh, well, the internet's bad, this and that. No, the internet's good. I think I watched a clip from Gary Vaynerchuk, and he goes, everyone freaks out about how bad the internet is and how your algorithm sucks. He goes, you realize you can change your algorithm, right? Go unfollow all those pages.
I like your Gary Vaynerchuk mannerisms.
Yeah. He's like, oh, you guys kidding me right now? But you can. Yeah. And so I did. You go unfollow all the video game channels. You go unfollow all these places. And what did I do? I started following podcasts and people that do interviews that wanted to learn, that wanted to grow. I started following like some pastors that aren't even Mormon, but they have wonderful messages to young men. And I say, no, you can completely change your algorithm to be beautiful and to share good things. You get on my algorithm, you're going to find business ideas, you're going to find pastors, and you're going to find cooking recipes. Because I want to find a new dip. I want some more spinach dip.
Yeah, for me, it's I find it really interesting. When I got rid of social media eons ago, over a decade, probably more than that. And I felt no change except more peace.
More peace.
More time.
Every
less
person
distractions.
Says
that. And when you go in, and what I teach my kiddos and I teach people is I say, when you go in, if you don't go into the internet, the world of the internet, or now add AI to that, with a sense of purpose and you're in the driver's seat, right, it will give you your purpose. And if you're in the passenger seat, it will sit in the wheel and drive you where it wants you to go, to where people profit off of what you think, what you see. That is how it was constructed. But when you understand your own self and you understand why you're going there. So I go in and I read about motivational things, inspirational things, spiritual things, things that help me grow. And when I'm done, I use the internet as a tool to help build my spiritual home within inside me. And then I leave. Yeah. I've got what I wanted, and I'm done. All this other stuff that you're trying to distract me with and pull me into, don't get me wrong. I've gone down the TikTok rabbit hole before, and it was fascinating, right? I was like, how did that person even not break the diving board? And now the AI is doing it. It's just so crazy. But I've gone down that rabbit hole. But I teach myself and my kids, like, you have to see it though. And if it's for a minute or two, understand it is designed to pull you in. The colors, the sound, the way the clips are written, it is designed to trap your mind and keep you there. 100%. So you have to say, you have the key, and the key is your purpose. So when you go and you unlock it, you say, okay, I'm here. I got what I want. Let me pack my bags. I filled them with something good. Okay, my bags are full. Well, if you stay there too long, you're going to put your bags down, and it's going to give you new bags. Or you can fill your bags up, pick them up, hold them next to you, and happily walk out and lock the key and walk away. So let's finish up with this then. I like the positive vibe we're at. What is Collin Gamble most excited about? When you wake up, you're like, dude, I get to do this today. I am so grateful that I'm a part of, this or that experience.
You know, what excites me and what like gets me out of bed is helping amplify other people pursue and accomplish their dreams and goals. So I get up, and even in sales, like when I interviewed for this company that is to build sales training for other businesses, like I thought I was tired of sales. I could do that because I would love to help businesses help their guys make more money, doing things honestly with integrity. Waking up every day with a purpose of serving others is what excites me. I love to serve. I love to do it. And that's people talk about that, but they don't understand the depth of it. They talk about, oh, well, yeah, it's good to do things for other people. You don't understand. There's a reason why it feels so good. It's of God. It's heavenly. Serving other people. That's what God is. Everyone talks about the Lord and the heavens. What do you think they do? What do you think they do every second of every moment? They're just helping other people and loving other people, and they're walking them through their journey to become the best version of themselves. And it's the most satisfying work you can do.
Collin Gamble. Thanks, homie.
I got a poem I'd like to read.
Oh, please. Yeah, I love it.
My ending comment. I read this, and it's one of those that sometimes I have a hard time getting through it because I love this poem.
They're the best kind.
Yep. It says, so this is the poem. I asked God to take away my pride. God said, no, it is not for me to take away, but for you to give up. I asked God to make my handicapped child whole. God said, no, her spirit already is, while her body is temporary. I asked God to grant me patience. God said, no. Patience is a byproduct of tribulations. It isn't granted, it is earned. I asked God to give me happiness. God said, no. I give blessings. Happiness is up to you. I asked God to spare me from pain. God said, no. Suffering draws you apart from worldly cares and brings you closer to me. I asked God to make my spirit grow. God said, no. You must grow on your own, but I will prune you and make you fruitful. I asked God if he loved me. God said, yes. I gave you my only son, who died for you and who you'll join in heaven someday. I asked God to help me love others as much as he loves me. God said, now you're starting to understand.
That's beautiful. I don't have anything else to add to that. So everybody, thank you for coming out, and we'll see you next time.